Right, let's not do an intro for this video, okay? Because we got the translations for JJK Modulo Chapter 10, and I think we know what everybody wants me to talk about, alright? He's back. It's confirmed. 100% Yuji Itadori is alive and will be returning to the story of Jujutsu Kaisen. I can't believe I'm actually saying that. But not only that, when we see Yuji, there is a very important detail, which I know a load of people have been pointing out, that suggests he looks very young and could potentially be in his prime, but we'll talk about that in a second. Let's just go through the chapter, okay? So it starts off with this kind of Jedi Council meeting of what I assume are just important people in Jujutsu society and in managing the alien situation. They're reviewing footage of the old geezer fighting Maru, which is like, how do you have footage of this? Like, what, is Makima working for you? Like, how have you recorded this? I mean, I get it's in the future, but that doesn't, like, some anime cameraman stuff going on, bro. Anyway, it seems like there are some people around this table who are also in favor of conflict with these aliens, which, wow, that's nothing new for humanity, is it? But Usami seems very against it because he's an intelligent and smart guy, and Mino's also against it because he just does what his army says. Usami, sorry. Anyway, they're basically saying how, like, well, Maru tried to attack Tsurugi as well, right? Like, he didn't succeed, but he tried to attack Tsurugi. Doesn't that break Jujutsu regulation number 7 or whatever? This is so funny, bro. I can't believe this actually happens. So, first of all, Usami actually told Mino to delete any records of Maru attacking Tsurugi, and he did. So somehow these guys have found out this information regardless of them deleting the records, which I suspect will be important later. But Usami then reminds them that the fact Maru went to attack Tsurugi is completely fine according to the Hikari laws. I did not think we were gonna get Hikari and Yuji mentioned in the same chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo. Like, that is crazy. Basically, these Hikari laws are when Hikari supposedly was trying to start up his fight club and, like, legalize private Jujutsu showcase fights. So you know how everyone was gambling on Gojo versus Sukuna? I think he just wanted to make that a thing, because in JJK, the public was made, you know, aware of curses and sorcerers, so Hikari was clearly like, great, now I'm gonna start up my fight club and just have people bet on, like, contracted duels between sorcerers. I think it all fell through in the end and didn't actually happen, but I think the law stood, where basically, well, at least the way the law works today is if you're under contract as, like, private security, then contracted sorcerers under the Hikari law are actually allowed to fight without breaking Article 7. It's a load of, like, legal stuff, but I just love the fact they called it the Hikari law. That's so funny, bro. But yeah, so on a technicality, you know, Maru didn't do anything wrong because Usami got all 3 of them to sign contracts to him, so they're all technically contracted and protected by that law. But that's just obviously a technicality, right? They still don't like what happened, but Usami's doing everything he can to de-escalate the situation, all right? Basically, what's going on is they're going back and forth about, you know, why do you want conflict? Why do you want coexistence? Blah, blah, blah. And then there's another term that gets thrown around. A potential sorcerer. I kid you not, that is now a real term in Jujutsu Kaisen. Potential man has become a canonical title that they're giving to people, alright? But these potential sorcerers are sorcerers that kind of have sorcerer abilities but aren't aware of it. So I guess kind of like Junpei before he, not even, I don't know, it's like some potential man stuff. They do stuff accidentally and then don't know what they're doing and they get let off for it. Whatever, they're kind of, again, that's another technicality, who cares? Let's get to the important part. They realize what they need is a deterrent against these aliens, okay? They need a nuclear deterrent, which is why they decide that they need to crack down on locating Itadori Yuji, and we see Yuji walking through a crowd of people with his hood up, not looking too happy, and he's by himself, which is an important detail. Let's just break this entire thing down, okay, before moving on. Let's just discuss everything there is to discuss about this. So first of all, Yuji looks young. I don't see any wrinkles on his face, and these people at the table are obviously aware of Yuji's power and seem to think he can manage to at least be a deterrent for the aliens, which means he is definitely in fighting shape. All the theories about, like, the curse wound paintings and Yuji staying young seem to be coming true, alright? He does seem young, and I've seen lots of stuff kind of saying where Yuji basically just lived too long and everyone around him got old and died, and he kind of realized that he wasn't growing old. And I think it's going to become kind of this whole thing, and I'm really excited to see how it's going to be explored because I trust JJK to cook. I know some people won't be a fan of it because of the whole, like, oh, he needs to die surrounded by people he loves kind of thing. I get it. No, I get it. And, like, the whole isolation and strength cycle and stuff, I understand, but let's let JJK cook, alright? There's no reason why he can't die surrounded by people he loves, alright? There's no reason that he can't do that at all. However happen. I'm pretty certain that, you know, I think it's safe in Gege's hands, and I'm okay with this, all right? Yeah, we're gonna get to see Yuji potentially fight, like in his, maybe not prime, but close to prime, which is so exciting. And this panel does remind me a lot of like when Geto and Gojo were having their little KFC talk as well. But yeah, they need to locate Itadori Yuji. I really do wonder why he's kind of taken himself into exile. I'm not really sure what happened there. I hope we find out. There's only like 20 something, like not even 20 chapters left of the manga, so I really hope that gets explored, or at least in another series after this. But goddamn, bro, Yuji's back and I'm so excited. Mahito as well is crazy. And Hikari mentioned that this series is so good, bro. I love it. You know, Usami seems to agree. He's like, okay, fair enough, a deterrent wouldn't be bad. We probably should locate Yuji. He wouldn't be too bad to have in this situation. And then we cut to the aliens, who are also holding their own kind of council. There's this Zeno and Silver looking duo of like a big buff man and a little old man, and the big buff dude isn't really a fan of Dabura being their leader, considering, you know, who Dabura is. He was more of a Dura fan, and he's also not enjoying what the twins have been doing as well. Like, he's kind of complaining that this whole voting system they have isn't really a democracy, because Dabura is kind of acting as a dictatorship and just vetoing their votes. And this guy is very much in the favor of conflict. Right, he doesn't ever want to be like the weak little civilization that was pushed around by the Deskuntans again. He keeps saying how this time he wants to be Deskunte, right? He wants to be the guy claiming the land for himself, which is obviously reinforcing that cycle of destiny and violence and all that JJK stuff, right? So they go in to cast their votes, and basically Jabaloma and Cross, who have been sitting on their votes, and their votes actually hold more weight than the rest of the... It's a very weird system. I don't know, it seems like there's not much democracy going on here at all. I can't lie, I feel like the big dude's right about that. Cross and Jabaloma are like, all right, fine, I spent some time with these humans, they're pretty chill, maybe we shouldn't erase them off the face of the earth, we'll give them a second. And when that vote gets passed, obviously big dude complains, and then Dabura is like, well, I don't see a problem with it, you know, because Dabura is not a terrible dude, but he's also not great either, because he sits there and he's like, it's a good idea to like try and make friends, and you know, we came here to find neighbors, we'll try and do that first, we'll try and get off on the good foot. That is not a saying, goddamn, I'm slow in the head. Try and get off to a good start. That's the right saying. And he's like, yeah, we might as well like try and make it work, right? Because the second we try and invade and start a war, we're never going to be able to go back to being friends, right? So he's like, let's give this our best shot, and if it fails, we can invade them anytime we want, which is not what we want to be hearing right now. But it seems like we are reaching a somewhat peaceful resolution, which is where I'm very curious, like, what's going to be the bombshell that drops? Is it going to be Mahito? Is it going to be like a major incident? Are people on each side's going to like form a revolution and protest, and they're going to spark a conflict? I am so curious. Maybe Yuji will spark the conflict. I don't even know, but it's an interesting one for sure. They cast their votes, they get all that done. Cross kind of has a little flashback to what Dura was saying about, you know, a town or a village or whatever. They're just all made up and dreamed up by the ideals of someone from the past, which is a very JJK thing to be saying. And then we move back over, once that's all settled, to Yuka, Tsuragi, Jabaloma, Usami, and Cross and Maru, I believe. And they're planning a cultural exchange, which is just going to be a dinner. They're going to sit down for dinner, and Maru, Cross, Tsuragi, and Yuka are in charge of preparing said dinner, which reminds me of the mini chapter where Maki and Yuta and Inomaki like worked in a ramen place, I think. It seems very like chill. I know, it's kind of a funny idea. We go from holy hell, we're on the verge of war with aliens, call in Yuji Itadori, to now we're starting up like a little pop-up kitchen and cooking for aliens as we're all going to sit down for dinner. Something's going to go horrifically wrong soon, because this is the calm before the storm, right? We're doing this whole nice little kitchen thing because something's just going to go horrifically, insanely wrong. This is too nice for JJK. This is too slice of life for JJK. This is not how Gege writes, so something's coming, and I'm scared. But yeah, they basically say, screw it, we'll make takoyaki, we'll have a takoyaki party, because in chapter 1, Maru tried it and he loved it. So that's the plan. It seems hella funny, bro. Like, they just show they show Cross a video of like a takoyaki party, and he's sitting there thinking, I can't imagine like Dabura and Jabaloma sat at this table just whatever. The point is, it's kind of goofy, which is normally when Gege does something like this, it's because something horrifically tragic is about to happen. But that's the chapter, and who cares about all that anyway, because Yuji's back. He's back. Oh my god, he's back. Bro, he might challenge Dabura for a 1v1. Like, how are we gonna, like, what's Yuji's ending gonna be like? Is he gonna have a conversation with Mahito? You know, there's so many questions. I can't wait, but hopefully we're gonna find out soon. I want to know why he's been missing, right? Like, who else is alive? It doesn't seem like anyone else like close to Yuji really is, because I feel like he'd be with them. But what happened? You know, I'm so locked in with this series. Anyway, yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, check out the main channel, all of that stuff, and I will see you in a bit. Peace.